We are in the midst of week 4 of Summer Access. It's been a few summers for this guy here in Carbondale. Jevon Mamon joins us. Coach, good to see you, brother.
A little bit more than a few, which is a great thing. It's a great thing.
Yes. Man, already in the midst of week 4, these go by, it seems like, very quick. Once you get to the start, then all of a sudden you blink your eye and you're almost to July 4th, which means you're about halfway through the summer.
Home.
What's been the biggest takeaway for you guys as a staff?
How great of a group this is. How fun it is how fun and enjoyable it is to watch them compete on a daily basis. How eager they are to learn what we're doing, and from our returners to our new guys, they seem to be getting along really well, competing against each other really well, and all trying to get information in and learn so that we can be the best that we can possibly be. But they've been extremely easy to work with, extremely easy to coach, very coachable group. So, that makes our job even more fun coming into work every day.
I'm sure this is an obvious thing to say, and what you were just describing, Coach Mamon, was really these guys as people and the interactivity that you get not just during practice but around the locker room, in your offices, etc. When you think of the really good teams you've been a part of here, the really good teams you've been a part of anywhere, how important is that aspect of yes, you can have a team that has a lot of skill, but if you don't really enjoy the grind and being around one another, skill can only take you so far.
Definitely only take you so far. And when you think about, the great teams, the really good teams that I've been a part of, the one word that comes to mind is connected. And you talk about not just on the court, but they're connected in every aspect of the program, connected in weights, connected in the locker room, connected in the apartments or in the dorms, connected in whatever we're going to do on the weekends.
Yeah.
And it's just that connectivity of looking out for each other, enjoying being around each other, no separate cliques up in the locker room or anything like that. They're all gelling together. And when you have that, it brings to the forefront the ability to have core conversations, conflicting conversations that might need to be addressed and had without any hard feelings. It's just, hey, we're a connected group. We love to compete with each other, but we're also going to help each other grow and not have any animosity towards, hey, like, this is how you do this. Hey, man, you didn't do this well, right? Like, it's for the team. It's for us. And you talk about, you watched the finals last night, and you hear OKC's coaches talk about how uncommon they are, right? And that's a huge part of being connected, right? Just being uncommon, being connected in everything you're doing for the unselfishness of the group. And, these guys out here, they compete, they have fun, they go at each other. They're eager to learn, like I talked about. But you can tell that there's some type of chemistry there that's already forming and building that makes it already fun and enjoyable and hopefully would translate, into late February, March for us and hopefully early April.
Yeah, that would no doubt be outstanding. That ultimately is what our fans will see. But that's a huge credit to you guys as a staff. And I know Coach Hawk talked about it, Coach Nagy as well. Luke, we didn't hit the mark we needed to a year ago from a culture standpoint, from a culture piece. And when you say that, it seems like you kind of talk down about the individuals you have within your program a year ago. It's not that at all. It's just that had to improve. Out of the guys you brought in, what are important things, Jevon, with you in recruiting? You spent a lot of time in it, and it's a big part of your life. What have you found, whether it's a characteristic, a thing that you lock your eyes in on to really show, I know if this guy is going to fit in within our culture or not?
How they communicate, their coaches, with their family, with their friends, watching how they interact with their teammates when you're out watching and recruiting. Like even out this weekend, seeing a kid and, somebody hit the floor. He was the first person to run over there to go pick him up. He was sitting on the bench in the timeout. He's the first person up to greet his teammates coming off the bench, right? So those are some characteristics that you can watch over the course of a game and say, all right, well, we don't have to coach that with him. He already has that up, and that's that Saluki DNA that's in him a little bit. But then, just the work ethic aspect of it too. We have a lot of guys that we brought in who all their coaches and people who we spoke with about them, they're gym rats, right? They take care of their bodies. They take this thing seriously. So when you're out recruiting and, you're having those types of conversations about, the process is the process with them and taking care of their bodies, again, how they treat others around them, how they interact with their teammates, their coaches, their parents. You interact with those things. I mean, you pick up on those things and you say, hey, right, those are things that we're looking for. Those are the type of guys that Coach Nagy really wants to coach. Obviously, the talent level is there if we're there watching them, or we can decide if it's there or not. But that's a very huge piece to go with the talent aspect of it. We've done a great job identifying that. And like you said, I didn't think we had a bad kid in the program last year. We had some kids, great kids who aren't here anymore. But we just have a different core of personalities and some different things that I feel like, again, is allowing this group to gel a little bit faster than what we had in the past.
Look, part of being an assistant is you not just have to adapt to the ever-changing landscape around you, but adapt to whoever the head guy is on staff, which you've worked with multiple different head coaches. Now, as you go into year two, what is something now you know that I don't necessarily mean it in terms of a coaching staff expectation, but what's one thing you know today in terms of the Coach Nagy DNA makeup that you didn't know a year ago that maybe you wish you did that could have made it a little bit better of a year?
Yeah, part of the DNA with Coach Nagy is just be aggressive, right? Like he wants guys that's going to be aggressive, and regardless if that's defensively, offensively. Make a mistake. We don't care what kind of mistake that you make, but if you're being aggressive making that mistake, so just also having that mindset and recruiting kids who, they're going to go hard, they're going to push themselves through certain situations, but they're not afraid to make a mistake, and they're not afraid to go get a little bit dirty because that's what he wants. Like you saw today in workouts, right? And we're not hitting the glass hard enough, right?
Yeah.
That thing got flipped around really quick. You know what I mean? And it was just off of all right, like we're just not being aggressive enough. But we have guys who obviously can do it. Just need that little pump, and there we go getting after it. So in regards to with Coach Nagy and being able to identify what he wants in the program, and wants in kids, like not knowing kind of where we were going in regards to we needed more athleticism, we needed some more skill, we needed some more, IQ, some higher IQ as part of that as well, that we really didn't know, right? Like we were just enamored with a little bit more length last year and some things. So I was like, all right, I think a couple of guys may have mentioned it before in some interviews. Like we're kind of sitting in games and. Sometimes not a knock, but sometimes like, man, we really need to have some kids with those type of characteristics, right? So that kind of feeds us some information as assistant coaches. All right, man, like this is what coach is really looking for, and what we really need to hone in and go get.
The culture piece, no doubt, is a huge piece, and you guys have spent a lot of time on it. Also spent a lot of time on defense and the team workouts. I think it's fair to say, as I brought up in my interview with Davion, that probably 90 to 95% of your team workouts have been centered around that defensive side of the ball. And rebounding, defense, and run. Those are really the three things that Coach Nagy has built into this team. How important really is the structure of the summer of, especially right now, you're starting to get into week 4. If you understand there's still some learning to go on, Jevon, there's still a long way to go with this group, but you also want to see it start to turn and really get to the look that you guys want it to have.
Well, defense wins championships. I know that's very cliche, right? But defense wins championships. And if you can defend against stops, right? Coach says this all the time. We know that we have offensively gifted players, right? We'll be able to go score against anyone. But defense wins championships. So be able to have that type of structure and build upon that early on, that foundation early on is huge for us. Rebounding, right? It would be huge to be able to finish off possessions. You're going to guard for 25 seconds and give up an offensive rebound, right? Like, you're just working, negating all your work that you're putting in to the defensive side of the ball. But one of the things that I feel like, we're doing a much better job of this summer as compared to last summer. We're teaching more, right? Last year it was almost like we want to see guys compete and who's going to get after it and kind of separate a little bit by just the toughness aspect of it, right? And we scaled things back a ton and doing a lot more teaching, laying that foundation so that we can be much better defensively. We can finish possessions. We will be a better rebounding team on both sides of the ball. And that's something that obviously when you're working on defense, you're working on rebounding with everything. So, been a little bit more aggressive with there. And, we'll just continue to build and go. And once that corner begins to turn, coach will feel more comfortable getting into a little bit more of the offensive side of the ball. But no doubt about it, man. The core is going to be defensively. We have the ability to be such a very deep group with our depth. And somebody having an off night defensively, we got somebody who can come and hopefully be able to change that in and bring a little bit of spark with that.
You talked about the points of emphasis, and when you're within a program, I think as a coach, there are obviously so many areas that you want to make a priority. But you can always tell there's one or two things with certain teams that, hey, they really preach this. What have you learned from being under Coach Nagy now going in year 2 of how much he values rebounding?
Yep.
And how much you guys really do coach it, drill it, and over so many times and hours that you spend with them, I think our fans, if they had the opportunity to come and watch you practice, it's clear, and you're going to find out early how rebounding is such a big point of emphasis for the program.
Yeah. With Coach, again, that's for him, that's the lifeline of it, right? Because it doesn't matter if you're on the defensive side of the ball. Again, you can guard for 25, 30 seconds, make them tough, a tough shot if you don't block out and you just don't have the mindset of just going to get the basketball, right? Creating, a extra offense possession for the other team. And on the flip side of that, right, we want to get that ball, create extra possessions for ourselves. So just that aggressiveness piece, that kind of goes back to the aggression aspect of it. He just wants guys to be aggressive, get a hand on the ball, tip that thing out, give us an opportunity to go get on the floor, get on that 50-50 ball and just go get on it. But like that's what's going to change the outcome of games for us, by just hitting the guard and dominating the glass on both sides. And he really does believe in that. That's something that we talk about in the office every day. That's something that obviously that's a centerpiece in practice. It doesn't matter what drill we're doing. Go get after that ball.
And what I really enjoy about, all the guys, we talked about their personalities and how that's all great. But even you look at the freshmen, who I know you spent a lot of time recruiting, guys like Daniel and Luke specifically. I know Jalen in the program's really had a good summer as well. But what I like about those guys is you saw them come in, and no doubt the initial stages of the summer is kind of that welcome to college a little bit, and they get a little bit big-eyed, and you kind of see them recognizing that, all right, this is a little different. But none of them have had that really period, and that's why I want to ask you, is of a mental block down where they just shut down or they're very timid.
Yep.
How have you seen those freshmen come in and really impact the team in a positive way? And even though they may get challenged a lot within practice, they handle that failure in the most productive way you possibly can.
I think that's a testament to their teammates. And we talked about the connectivity, right? And I really do think that's a credit to their teammates and them taking the time to really get to know their teammates previous to coming here. Obviously, not being afraid to challenge their teammates since they've gotten here and not backing down. I've seen a couple of those guys, a few of our freshmen, somebody trying to tap them out of a drill, I'm good, right? Or like you say, it's been a rough day, but you have older guys coming over to them, regardless if they're transfers or if they've been here, but they're coming over to them, hey, lending them a hand of advice. This is how this is what coach means. Just demonstrating for them. But again, they're not afraid of the challenge. They come in here and say, hey, I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to compete as well. And just there's so much progress, so much more progress to be made with those three. But it really does help when going back to, I'm not afraid to make a mistake. If I do, teammates got my back. Right, we're going to coach you hard. We're going to address everything we need to address with you. But just their mindset that they've had coming in has been tremendous. Their willingness to work, their willingness to not be afraid to make mistakes, and they push each other a lot. And one thing about these three freshmen, they live in the apartments together. They're always together going to get something to eat. They're with some of the oldest guys they spend a ton of time. Again, I can't speak about it enough, connecting with each other. And I think that kind of creates a comfortability, obviously, for them to come out on the court and do what they do. And
what I love about it, Jevon, too, is when you're around them, you can sense they're freshmen. And what I mean by that, and I don't mean that in any negative tone, there is a pure joy that they have of literally being in college.
Yeah.
And like being here, being a part of this experience, like that, it just reminds you of really what is special about what you guys get to do.
What it's all about. You said the key word, joy. The laughter, the joking, just the pure youthfulness that they have. That they are literally the little brothers,
Yes.
right? They are literally the little brothers, and they bring so much life. Again, they each have 3 different unique personalities that they all bring to the table, but they're all very likable kids. And again, they're reasons why they're here, and they're all program guys. They're guys that work hard, and they just have a joy for being in a gym and a joy for the game that you can't take away from them.
Again, it's been a small sample size, understanding we're just here still in the month of June before we get to the month of July. You were around the individual I'm going to talk about here more than I was. I was only around Xavier Johnson for 1 year, but X was just a true pro in terms of how he attacked everything here, but how he treated everybody in his interactions. And he wasn't the loudest voice around, but you could just tell he carried himself in that way. How similar do you see Isaiah Stafford in that realm of someone who is a tremendous kid? You can tell has the experience and very serious when it comes on the floor, but it's also just how he carries himself around each other. I see a lot of similarities in that way to how X was here every day as a Saluki.
He's a veteran's vet, right? Like you say, he's been around the block. He's been in the league. He's very comfortable in his own skin. He's learning just as much as everyone else is, but unbelievable person. Like you say, may not be the loudest in the room, but he makes sure that he touches everyone. He just has a strong presence whenever he walks into a room, whenever he walks into the court, whenever he's addressing or attacking a drill or whatever we're doing. He just has that presence about him. A lot of kids will say, he has that aura, right?
Yeah.
Right. He kind of has, but he does. But with how he attacks his everyday business, his everyday business, and and it's on the court. It's his going to get some training, taking care of his body. It's in a weight room with him, but he has a very serious approach, and that can come from, hey man, like I know what's in front of me for my last year and kind of where I'm at with my career here, and I need to make the most out of every opportunity that I have with it. But he's been great with the staff. He's been great with fans that have come into practice, and again, he's a veteran's vet, man, and you love it. Like once you're around, you really do love to be around him. Great personality, and he's just a tremendous worker.
Don't know how much you've been around it in your coaching career, but to have 2 brothers on the same team with Prince and Rollins, that helps, of course, make it more of a family feel when there's literally family on the team. How has that been a major positive thing? Other than just, look, Prince is obviously an extremely talented guy that you're able to get in the transfer in. Rollins had a productive freshman year, wants to continue to build on it. Yes, their skill says alone, that's why they're valuable members. But how has that dynamic helped this program?
Well, it's only going to help. Well, one, they're going to help each other, right? It's going to help us be better. Rollins is going to help Prince, and Prince is going to help Rollins, continue to grow. And that's the big reason why Prince wanted to be here, was to help Rollins, continue to mature throughout his time here. But, when you take those 2 guys and you see them challenging each other, right, and they going at each other and practicing drills, it's not just against. All right, when it's brother to brother, it's really intense. It's really fun to watch, and they get after it with each other. But then that carries over. But then it also you see one of them being out if we're doing group work and they're in different groups, and you see one of them talking through each other, or making a comment from high up in the stands. If the other one's out there in the floor, and they're just trying to help guide each other through and help each other through. Again, there's no better connectivity than that blood connectivity that they bring to the table. And so that spreads throughout the locker room, that spreads throughout the team. They both have beautiful spirits. They 2 of our more vocal guys. And Rollins was very vocal as a freshman last year and had his moments of being very vocal, extremely vocal as a freshman last year. But 2 of our most vocal guys, and, not afraid to, again, help guide their teammates while they're out there on the court. And again, it's only going to make us stronger.
It's kind of an old cliche, Jevon, of, there's no greater motivator than the bench when you don't get to play. But I think maybe a better version of that is sometimes there's no great kickstart to the engine to get that engine revved up than some really good competition.
Yep.
How has the influx of talent come in really helped the 6 guys who have come back, who understand what these daily practices are like for a year, get them on another level as well?
Yeah, I mean, we genuinely have a team where, again, we have a long road ahead of us. But, anyone can play major minutes. Anyone can contribute, as it stands right now, right? So I have to be my best every day coming into this thing, right? And if I'm not at the top of my game, everybody's on an even playing field. And Coach Nagy has always preached that. He's always believed in that. We're all on an even playing field. Who's going to go out there and do the little things? Who's going to go out there and defend? Who's going to go out there and rebound, right? And the challenges that the healthy challenges that brings that's a very healthy thing because you can't relax, right? I can't have an off day. Otherwise, somebody is gaining ground or taking over me, or taking over my, whatever edge I may have. So that makes it a fun, that makes it fun for us to kind of come in and be like, all right, man, who's going to be that guy today that's going to, rock the boat a little bit and say I'm here, right? And that from a freshman to, again, that somebody else that just came in as a transfer. But the competition level is very high. We have depth at every position. And, that's going to be fun because we also have a lot of versatility, too. So it's not just the depth part of it. It's not just the competition part of it, but it's the versatility where we can plug and play guys in various roles, which also makes it fun seeing them in different spaces on the court and helping us as the coaching staff, just putting people on the floor and in different places to see how they handle it. So that's a very fun thing to have. It'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out. But to see – again, to see those guys getting after it with each other and pushing each other on a daily basis to help each other be better. And, again, we have a very competitive group, a very connected group, and that's all – it's all going to come together the way it's supposed to come together, and they're going to root for each other how they're supposed to root for each other, and that makes it fun and fresh every day.
Look, we knew – even from afar, the valuable piece that Damian Mayo played for Missouri State. And last year, no doubt, late in the year, his play at UIC we talk about all the time and what that meant to win that game, to give SIU a chance to win it. The Mayo effect that kind of Chris Carr termed a little bit was like you could feel in so many ways he impacts this team. How can that be greater this year? But also – it was felt when Mayo wasn't in the game, things really dipped. How can he – I don't want to just say he as in like it all falls on him, but how can he in his role help make sure that even when he may not be in the game, you don't see much of a drop-off in those things that Damian can bring?
Yeah, it's hard to ever replace or keep up with anything with what Mayo does. He's the ultimate JYD. He's the ultimate junkyard dog, right? His presence with his voice can be something he can continue to carry that over regardless if he's in the game, continues, not just in crucial moments, but doing that. And he does that consistently over the course of the game with saving loose balls, get on the floor, coming up with a huge rebound. But even when he's not in games or he's standing up on the sidelines in practice, continuing to stay up and, be in guys' ears and encourage guys to go a little bit harder. What he brings to the table, you can't stat. Right, you can't stat everything that he brings to the table, and if we have 5 guys out there on the court with that same type of mindset at any given moment, we're going to be really, really good. And just his leadership now, he, like you say, he's been here for a year. He understands what it is, and what's expected of him, and what's expected of every person that's involved in this program. And Mayo does not just hold his teammates accountable; he holds us accountable as coaches too. Right, and asking questions and trying to figure things out. And if he continues on that journey, holds everyone to a high standard, and continues to push his guys to the max every day, I think some other guys will take some of that Mayo DNA from him. But that junkyard dog, man, again, you can force other people to have to do that when you put forth those same reps every day in practice, every day in games, and not allow that drop off.
And he's a guy as well. When you watch him in practice, there's times where I go, I wish he would shoot a little bit more in games because
he's been
shooting the ball really well this summer.
Yeah.
Have you seen him? I don't want to characterize that he's never been a good shooter, but this summer seems a little different for him.
Last week I was talking with Mayo, and he talked about joy. He seemed so happy. Not that he wasn't happy last year, but he seemed so happy. He seemed so calm. And I think part of that is like he really does enjoy the guys that we have in the locker room. You can tell again. I just keep going back to the connectivity, but he connects well with each of those guys. There's a comfort level with each of those guys, and I think he just has a sense of the weight being off of his shoulders in regards to, having been here for a year, understand what's going on. Now I can breathe. He knows that he can help teach, the newcomers, regardless of class. He can help teach the newcomers, but. He said, man, I'm just so happy to have already been here for a year and understand what's going on. But, I just love our group. And, that's what happens when you're not overthinking. You're not thinking, man, we're doing everything we should be doing. We're trying to compete at a high level. And, he just feels a certain affinity for the guys that he's going to war with every day.
And I hope Saluki Nation knows that the love and respect we have for you, because I almost thought I won't have a chance to interview you today because, Justin Inslee, the pickle, as we call him within the program, was like, Jevon's flight, this guy's all over the place recruiting, I'm just glad things align well for me to still see you, Jevon.
Well, the Lord, the universe, the pickle. All right, that's my man. Shout out to Justin Inslee. He is the GOAT pickle of them all.
Yeah.
All right, but he's great at what he does. Not that that there's not a day that goes by that he doesn't have a smile on his face, and he's a pleasure to work with. But just happy that the universe aligned for me to get here in time. Right, to be here and be able to sit with you. It's always an enjoyable moment when we can sit together and talk ball and talk things about the program and just sit down and chop it up. So I appreciate you for that.
Your energy level could be a little higher in practice.
Sorry about that, Luke. I will. Hey, constructive criticism. I will work. I will be better tomorrow. I promise you, I will be better with my energy level tomorrow, boss.
Appreciate you, Jevon.
All right, Luke.
Jevon Mamon. We have continued coverage all summer long here for Saluki Basketball and Summer Access 2025.